won this Sarah and I play Magic way too much. Okay, at 9:10 this morning, it is now noon. A new set was released, and it's going to come out tomorrow, but they're going to talk about it today. So a new set was announced. So just some basic things is Kaldadesh cards are coming live tomorrow. There's 184 new cards. I've kind of gone through them, and I have, 6 or 8 that I think are interesting. It's also going to bring 4 new effects, and those are Energize, Overload, Fabricate, and Crew. I don't really want to talk about those too much until they come live and we play them, because I don't know. Fabricate seems a little interesting in that you can read it. It says Fabricate summons supports that grant 1/1 to the first creature you control. So I think that's going to be a lot like the Clue tokens that come up. And so you have 5 of them out there, and it gets +5/5, but your opponent could break them and make them go away. So I'm not really sure how that works. And the Energize, those two work together. Until we kind of see it, it's hard to say if I like it or not, There's some effects, obviously, that come and go, and we never use them at all. Like the Void gems, or whatever they are, the white ones that are clear. So then they're also talking about new events. The interesting thing about the events is that 2 or 3 of the events, they've taken out the team aspect to it altogether. There's a lot of talk on the forums about teams working in certain ways. You can read that if you want. I don't care. Okay. But maybe this is their reaction to that. One thing on here, I don't see it right now, but they said one of the events that they might have matches count as twice as much. So you match 3 gems and it counts as 6 instead of 3. That would change the decks completely in that event. Obviously, you'd put everything, all the mythics and everything that costs like 24 or whatever. So the thing with the special offers I think is interesting is in the bottom part of that, it says check out our new starter packs and epic packs. So there might be packs that include a mythic or something like that every single time. I hope it's something like that, but we'll see what happens. And then Rahi is completely redone, and we'll have to see if that actually matters. So let's look at the cards. The card set is available there. It's on the forums. And this is kind of going backwards because I took them in this order. Here is a spell that costs 24. The last 6 spells, supports, or creatures that you control that were destroyed are returned to your hand. I don't get this card at all. I'm showing you about 6 or 8 cards. I'm sure that I don't see the value in it, and I think it costs way too much, but I'm sure there's going to be some green crazy combo that uses this and then makes them all get mana, and then it's going to speed up the game somehow. Somebody smarter than me is going to figure that out, but I just thought it was interesting enough to kind of point out. Here we have a cost 24, 8/8. When you cast this creature, the last 2 spells that were cast, deployed, cast, or destroyed are returned to your hand and gain full mana. Well, I know there's no blue-white combination, but deploy the Gatewatch with this would it would be just an infinite loop. So I think that, and I'm kind of pointing out that there's going to be 2 or 3 card combinations that are just going to blow out the game and create some wild decks. I'm not quite sure how it's going to develop, but it will very soon, and there'll be some adjustments. This I really like. It's just a common card. Cost 4. Target creature gets +1 and lifelink and prevent damage. Black doesn't have any prevent damage cards, at least that I can kind of think of. Lifelink is relatively rare, although very valuable in black. And so I think this is going to be a kind of a valuable card that's going to go in more decks than you think. Here we have an example of just a garbage card, and of the 184 new cards, there's a lot of just ones that, like in every set, just will not be used. Costs 11, it's a 1/1, and when it attacks, you gain a life, and your opponent takes 1 damage. No, I mean, I just want to show an example of why even have it in there. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I don't want to look at it when I am scrolling through my cards to choose a deck. That's a different thing. For 12, it's a 3/4. When this creature enters the battlefield, energize 2. So it's going to give you 2 tokens down below. If 2 tokens are popped on the same turn, overload 2. The first creature in your opponent's library is moved to the top of your opponent's library. So this essentially is, if they, I could see a use for this. I could see some deck where you're trying to make it so they can't cast any cards and you're taking the mana away from their first card, and this would kind of fit right into there. So specialized deck, I think this works. This card is just very powerful. For 14, it's a 12/12, and basically when it dies, if there are 2 more supports, it comes back out. Well, we just talked about those 1/1 supports. I already forget what it's called. That's probably too fast. But the Fabricate summon supports. So if you have some Fabricate tokens and this just comes back and back and back, it has Defender, just very powerful card. And it's colorless, so it could be in any deck. The first colorless spell, support, or creature in your library, and you take 5 damage. I don't see any value in this. But again, I think somebody is going to find a way to use this in a very creative way. Maybe grab this colorless one and take 5 damage, but bring them out over and over and over again. I think there's going to be something interesting with that, but I don't quite see it yet. And overall, unless there's some crazy combination, I think it won't be used at all. Here's an example of just mana creep. Or not mana creep, but the cards are just getting more powerful, and the old cards are less and less powerful. For 4, target creature gets 4/4 and trample. There's other cards like this that cost more than 4. So it's just the same card, costs less. New deck, they have to do that. Here's just a wild card. When your opponent casts a spell support, your opponent takes 5 damage and you gain 5 life. So this, I think, could be powerful in certain decks. Just interesting. It costs so much though, but I think it'll be used a lot. For 6, so this is, I don't think or I'll read it. When your opponent casts a card, destroy this support, and your opponent's card is destroyed, its effects do not trigger. So assuming this has like 3 or 4 charges on it and can't be destroyed very easily, this could be used really well. And this kind of goes in combination with the other card I mentioned where it's blue and they're not able to cast anything. So I think this kind of fits in there, and it's just interesting the combinations we're going to have. Yeah. So this, I think, it's energized 3, target creature takes X damage, and it's only creatures, not people or planeswalkers, where X is the total amount of energized gems on the board, then remove all energy from the board. I think this is going to be used more for removing all energy from the board, because there's going to be some decks that are crazy, and you just have to remove all the energy and start fresh, and have no cards that use energy on here. That's my kind of gut on that. So this, I don't see that I would use it, but especially with 11 casting cost, because the first creature, basically you get a creature and your opponent gets a creature, and they're both put on the battlefield. So you better make sure that all your creatures in that deck have a casting cost at like at least 16 or 18. You want to get some value out of it. But it's just very interesting. So I don't see a use for this, but in that green kind of deck, I think that something crazy could happen. So here is just an odd card. When the support enters the board, energize 2, overload 1, the first creature your opponent controls is disabled till the end of the turn. Well, this sounds very familiar in that you're disabling your opponent's creatures, but it's normally white. Now it's any color. So I think this will be used more than we think. And it's going to be in lots of decks, and there's going to be lots of disabled cards, and Overload 1 is going to be easy to do, especially with all energized cards. So it's going to make those very powerful creatures, you can deactivate them essentially. So that's going to be good. If there are 4 less energized tokens on the board, you can kind of see how these are going. This for 25, which costs a lot. Basically, you draw 3 cards and do 15 damage to your opponent. If the red and blue would be unique with this because you can draw extra cards. You kind of get the picture. Here's mana creep for 2. You're getting plus 2/2 and prevent damage on turn. All the other cards before cost 3, 4, or maybe 5 to do the exact same thing. So that's just the power creep that's going in. This Hydra doesn't look like much on the surface, just with casting cost of 12 and a 1/1. But the fact that it kind of energizes itself when it does overload 1, it energizes 2. So you're going to get exponential energized tokens out there. It's going to get big quick. So mana creep for 4. This I think is one of the first cards. And if you're getting 6/6 mechanical beast tokens every turn, which wouldn't be too tough, I think that this is going to be very powerful. So there you go, guys. That's kind of my first impressions. Those are the cards I think are going to have impact on the game. And of course, there's some duds in there, but I just wanted to kind of say hi and talk about it. Please put your comments below, like and subscribe. Tell me what you like about what you think is going to come of the new card set. Thanks, guys. Bye.